What's going on, guys? So today's scent of the day got me thinking. I've never done a full review on what I believe, in my opinion, to be the best blue fragrance ever created. Some of you know where I'm coming. I mean, you click this, you know what fragrance we're talking about. We're talking about Bleu de Chanel, the Parfum flanker specifically. My favorite. I don't know if it can be topped in many ways from my taste personally, but I want to talk to you about it. Stay tuned. So I don't have the box. I threw the box away many years ago, but we can take a quick look at the bottle. So the difference here is the insignias. The print on here is this goldish hue. It says Parfum clear as day. You know, that dark bluish hue, transparent design and print. Fragrance information on the bottom. I bought this from Sephora quite, a few years ago anyways. Chanel's logo on the top. It is a magnetic cap. You can pull it off, but twisting it off is just so much easier. Their standard atomizer, and then it sprays just right. But man, let's talk about this scent. So I'll have Chanel's description of this fragrance on screen. Fragrantica says one thing. Parfumo echoes Chanel's statement of cedar and this, just woods basically, which I got to say, at its core, this is a warm wood fragrance. It's currently on my skin right now. It's my scent of the day. But for me, I do kind of agree with what Fragrantica says about this lemon zest note, because there is kind of this zesty lemon smell to it. Almost a spiced lemon, warm spiced lemon, like maybe even a ginger lemon combo to create this accord. But it starts to transition pretty quickly. It's very warm at the top. There's freshness, but there's also a warmth undertone, a warming undertone, because there's so many woods here. I believe there to be more than just cedar. It does have an isoe super smell as well. I believe there's cashmere in here, sandalwood, just this smorgasbord of warm woods, warm soft woods that really kind of dictate the pace of this scent profile. It doesn't transition and change a whole lot outside of that lemon smell kind of fading over time. But it has this smooth, rich, refined type of scent profile, which is often not the case with a blue fragrance. That's not the case with the Eau de Parfum flanker. That's not the case with the Eau de Toilette original concentration. Though magnificent fragrances, some will argue the greatest ever, better than this in many ways, but this is my take, in my opinion. And I had went back and forth to Macy's several times trying all three concentrations many years ago before I finally decided that, this is the clear-cut Head and Shoulders winner, head and shoulders above the other two, that just every time I spray them, this is the one my nose is just, it's a charismatic scent profile. I'm just so attracted and magnetized and drawn to the scent profile. And I've put it on a pedestal over the years. Now, when it comes to cheap, some of you are going to say, but what about Ferragamo Acqua Cinghiale Blue? Because people that have been watching me a long time, that's my favorite cheap blue fragrance, yes. But I really believe this to be the most well-composed blue scent ever, because it suits my taste perfectly. And we'll discuss the performance in a little bit, because performance plays a huge role into it, because this is the type of scent profile that has the warmth and the elegance to dress up very well. Enough to cut through the cold, but maintains enough freshness and not too heavy of an aroma to where it does just fine in high humidity Houston, Texas heat. That's when I first got this, when I was living in the Houston, Texas area, outdoors in that humidity all the time. So the scent profile here, like I said, this is why those of you that have seen some of my live streams recently, or my wish list for 2023, is I would love for Chanel to release an elixir version of this, because the Parfum is just so good. And if we never get another rendition of Bleu de Chanel, I'm fine with that, because this one, in my opinion, is the definitive when it comes to blue fragrances. Now, in regards to performance, this is where what I love the most about the fragrance, that some may dictate not enough for them, because some people want to be able to walk into a room and have everybody smell them, whether it offends and pisses people off, or it kind of just makes a nice statement for them. Whatever the case, whether obnoxious or assertive, some fragrances are better left to be discovered. And this is one of those scent profiles that does just that, because the longevity for me on my skin, this is every bit of a 10 to 12 hour fragrance on my skin personally. The longevity is there. It stays for a long time. And the consistency is in the projection that settles into the sillage. Because the first hour is pretty loud with the projection. By an hour and a half, it starts to sit closer to the skin. But I would say never really more than maybe an arm's reach type of thing, where it's not too loud or intrusive to where it's not going to punch somebody in the nose in that first hour to hour and a half when you walk by them or walk into their space to have a conversation. And then when it settles down, because of the oil concentration and the composition with all these warm woods, it stays very consistent and you constantly get reminded that it's there. Just strong enough without being too light or faint. And like I said, just strong enough to where it doesn't overwhelm or overpower. You're not going to get a real hefty dose of it when you make certain moves with your sillage, but it will be a nice smooth aroma to remind you, just give you that type of moment, because this is one that is super enjoyable for me personally to smell on myself. So when I say that the performance for this scent profile, I don't think could be any better than it is. Again, my opinion for my taste, I think this is the perfect performance in all three categories to match this particular scent profile, because I truly believe this to be the business professional's blue fragrance. Final thoughts on Bleu de Chanel Parfum. So I've spoke very highly of this, but what do I rate it? I sit here and talk about it being the best blue fragrance that's ever been created. The performance is absolute perfection for the scent profile for my taste. And I don't do 10 out of 10s, so that could only mean one thing, that Bleu de Chanel Parfum, in my opinion, is a 9.5 out of 10, which for me is my 10 out of 10. Maybe two handfuls of 9.5s out of 10 in the hundreds and hundreds of fragrances I've talked about on this channel. This is one of the best. I'll continue to stand by that. I urge you to get out and try it where they sell Chanel fragrances. They will have this. And they'll probably have a tester. If you go to a fragrance counter or places like Sephora, Ulta, Macy's, Dillard's, and so on, where they sell Bleu de Chanel, you can try it out on your skin. Now look, if you need that louder fragrance, you're going to want one of the lighter concentrations, but you're going to sacrifice that refined, elegant tone that this particular concentration brings, and a lot of that warmth that's just so alluring and charismatic. Well, that's my personal thoughts and feelings on Bleu de Chanel Parfum from Chanel. Can't believe that after all these years, I had never did a full review. I've featured it in many topics and lists over the years. It's been in weekly rotations and so on, but I never did a dedicated video for this magnificent blue fragrance. What a shame. Well, it's done now. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, because I do appreciate all the feedback, and I love hearing from you guys. How many of you agree with me? This is pretty much a masterpiece. Some are going to disagree, and that's totally fine. This is all just my opinion. With my experience over the years with this fragrance, I hold it in high regard because I really think it's the king of blue fragrances. I really do. If I could keep one, typical blue, just one blue fragrance and one cheap blue fragrance, it would be this and Salvatore Ferragamo Acqua Senziale Blue. But if it had to just be one, it's hard to say it wouldn't be this one, because it's just perfect across the board. As perfect as it gets, for my taste anyways. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on Bleu de Chanel Parfum and you give it a spray now, I'm extremely confident you'll thank me later. Have a good one, guys.